Welcome to today's deep dive. I want to start by throwing something out there for you to think about. Right now, your brain is probably spending active calories worrying about a broken printer sitting in the back of your closet.
Oh, yeah. That or, a toxic acquaintance you haven't even spoken to in like 3 years.
Exactly. It's wild. But I mean, you know that feeling when you hit a wall and decide it is finally time to level up in life? Like you want a better career, you want to feel healthier, or maybe you just want to find some peace of mind for once.
Right.
What is the very first instinct that kicks in? It's almost always this frantic urge to acquire.
Always. We immediately think about what we need to add to our plates.
Yeah, we think, I need to read 3 new books a week.
Yeah.
Or I need to add this complex new morning routine involving ice baths and journaling.
Oh, the ice baths. Right.
Or I need to buy better productivity software or network with 50 new people. We are completely conditioned to believe that growth equals addition.
It is a fascinating paradox, really. We approach personal development like we're trying to build a skyscraper on top of a swamp.
Wow, okay, a swamp.
Yeah, we just keep piling on more steel, more glass, more structural weight, hoping the sheer mass of it somehow makes the foundation more stable.
But it doesn't.
No, the truth is, all that uncalculated addition just makes the entire structure sink faster into the mud.
And that brings us to our mission for today. We have a brilliantly concise, incredibly potent text on our desk today called The Architecture of Essentialism: Growth Through Removal.
It's such a great read.
It really is. And our goal here is to deconstruct this text and show you why the ultimate secret to your growth isn't about acquisition at all. It is entirely about subtraction. So, okay, let's unpack this.
To really understand how to grow, we first have to take a hard look at how we diagnose our own problem.
Right.
Because when you feel overwhelmed or stuck, your brain immediately starts scanning the horizon for the missing piece.
You assume you're failing because you lack something.
Exactly. You think, I lack a specific skill, or I lack capital, or I lack confidence.
And the text actually speaks to this misdiagnosis directly. In the opening lines, it poses a question to you, the listener. It asks, how many things in your life are you holding on to that you don't even need? And it specifies not just in your room, but in your mind, your habits, your relationships. And then it drops this absolute gut punch of a quote. It says, your life is not heavy, it's just cluttered.
The distinction between heavy and cluttered is profound there.
It really reframes everything.
It does. I mean, for part one, the real problem, the author is stating definitively that society has trained us to fundamentally misread our own fatigue.
We think we're exhausted because we're carrying these noble, heavy burdens of ambition, right?
Yes. But the reality is the vast majority of our exhaustion comes from maintaining an inventory of things that simply do not matter.
It's all the unseen clutter.
Exactly. It acts as a slow poison to your focus and your peace.
It's the invisible stuff, like old habits, negative thought loops, people who just siphon your energy whenever they text you.
Oh, the energy vampires.
Yeah, and physical items you keep just in case. I mean, I think we all have that one plastic bin in our garage filled with tangled, obsolete power cords from like 2006.
Guilty as charged.
Right. We keep them because some primal part of us whispers, what if I desperately need to charge an early generation MP3 player during an emergency?
We laugh at it, but the text takes this very seriously. What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism of cognitive load.
Okay, break that down for us.
Every single unnecessary commitment you hold on to, every lingering resentment, every broken item sitting in your house that you tell yourself you'll fix one day.
They're not just sitting there.
No. None of those things are inert.
Yeah.
They all require a tiny, continuous draw of your mental processing power.
Oh, wow.
When you walk past a broken chair in your hallway, your brain subconsciously calculates the steps required to fix it, decides not to do it right now, and then files it away as an open, unresolved loop.
And that process literally burns glucose.
It literally does. When you aggregate hundreds of those open loops, you're running your brain at maximum capacity just to maintain the clutter. There's literally no bandwidth left for actual growth.
It makes me think of trying to download a massive, exciting new software update on a smartphone that has absolutely zero storage space left.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. You keep mashing the download button and the phone just keeps freezing or giving you that annoying error message.
And your first thought is usually, I need a new phone.
Exactly. But you don't actually need to go out and buy a brand new expensive phone with a faster processor. You just need to delete your old useless files.
You have to clear the cache.
Clear the cache so the hardware can actually do its job. But let me push back on this entire premise for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Isn't it just fundamental human nature to hoard? Whether we're talking about physical items in our basement or emotional safety blankets, like, a familiar excuse we use for why we haven't succeeded yet, doesn't holding on to these things make us feel secure? Like, why fight millions of years of evolutionary programming?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, your pushback highlights the exact evolutionary mismatch the text is targeting.
Okay, how so?
Well, for thousands of years, holding on to resources, whether that was surplus food, primitive tools, or tribal alliances, that was literally the difference between life and death.
Scarcity was the default.
Exactly. The default human condition.
Yeah.
Our brains are hardwired to equate accumulation with survival, and emotional baggage works through the exact same neural pathways.
Really? Emotional baggage?
Yeah. If you hold on to an old excuse for why you didn't get a promotion, it protects your ego from the painful reality of your own shortcomings. It provides a perverse kind of comfort because it's a known quantity.
But the environment we live in today is no longer one of scarcity. I mean, we live in an era of overwhelming, frictionless abundance.
And that abundance is highly weaponized.
Weaponized.
Yes. Think about algorithms, one-click purchasing, infinite scrolling feeds. Modern society is engineered to exploit that ancient scarcity panic. We're constantly prodded to acquire more, read more, buy more, connect with more people.
Oh, I see. So our biological hardware just hasn't caught up.
Not at all. We are applying a survival strategy designed for a barren savanna to a world where you can summon thousands of products to your doorstep overnight.
So what feels to your ancient brain like a safety blanket is actually functioning as a straitjacket in the modern world.
Precisely.
A straitjacket built out of things we thought were protecting us. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the author doesn't pull any punches when it comes to the consequences of refusing to take that straitjacket off.
No, they certainly do not.
There is this incredibly blunt, provocative power moment in part 2, The Hard Truth, where the text just flat out says, nobody wants your shit.
It is a jarring shift in tone.
Very jarring.
But it's purposefully designed to break through the reader's rationalizations.
It specifically lists out what that means. It says, not your excuses, not your old version, not your emotional baggage.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's saying that all those things you're hoarding for comfort, those stories you tell yourself about why you're stuck, the rest of the world has absolutely zero use for them.
They're not endearing, they are just dead weight.
And the text is delivering an ominous warning here about the systemic physics of your life.
Yes. The quote to remember from this section is, if you don't clean your life, life will force you to.
Life will force you to. That's intense.
It introduces this concept of the breaking point. When we refuse to shed bad relationships, or when we cling to toxic habits just because they feel familiar, that weight does not just sit there in a vacuum.
It compounds.
Exactly, it generates friction. And eventually, the friction between the trajectory of the life you're trying to live and the sheer mass of the baggage you're dragging behind you, it causes a forced catastrophic collapse.
It's like an involuntary eviction of your clutter.
That's a great way to put it. And people experience this involuntary eviction in highly destructive ways.
Like what?
It manifests as a total nervous burnout, or a sudden health crisis, or the explosive, messy end to a romantic relationship. Life steps in and violently removes the clutter for you because the system simply cannot sustain the load anymore.
I'm picturing a structural beam in a house holding too much weight.
Right.
You can either proactively take the weight off, which takes some effort, sure, but if you don't, eventually the beam just snaps.
And gravity does the removing for you.
Exactly. And gravity doing the removing is a much, much messier process. Your whole roof comes down.
It forces a system reset, but it comes at an immense cost. The biggest cost being that you completely lose agency in the process.
You're no longer in control.
Right. The core argument of essentialism is about retaining your agency. It's about actively choosing what stays and what goes, rather than waiting for the beam to snap.
So, having faced that harsh reality of what happens if we don't clear the space, the conversation naturally pivots to part 3, the shift.
This is where it gets optimistic.
Right. It outlines a vision of what happens when we proactively step up and clear the clutter. It asks you to visualize a highly specific scenario. It says, imagine this. You wake up in a clean room, your mind is clear, Your goals are simple. Your energy is focused.
Just hearing that creates a visceral sense of relief.
It does. It sounds like taking a deep breath after holding it for a minute straight.
It sounds appealing because it represents a completely frictionless state of being.
But the text makes a really strong point about this state.
Yes. The most crucial line surrounding this vision is just 3 words long. It says, "That's not luck."
That's not luck.
We often look at people who seem to possess incredible clarity, who operate with this calm, highly focused energy in high-stress environments, and we assume they were just born with a different neurological makeup.
Or they somehow lucked into favorable circumstances.
Exactly. But the text completely dismantles that myth. It states that this state of peace is a deliberate, engineered outcome of removing what doesn't serve you.
So the architecture of essentialism isn't about drawing up blueprints for new, elaborate structures.
No, not at all. It's about acting as an excavator. It's about scraping away the accumulated debris to reveal the solid, indestructible foundation that was always sitting underneath the noise.
So what does this all mean? Because I have to be pushed back a little on this beautifully idealized vision of the clean room.
Okay, let's hear it.
Doesn't a completely clear room or dramatically simplified goals feel a bit empty or vulnerable at first?
It does.
I mean, think about it. When we strip away all our usual distractions, all the dramatic venting sessions with toxic friends, all the busy work we invent just to feel productive, aren't we forced to finally sit alone with ourselves?
You are highlighting the exact psychological barrier that keeps people trapped in their clutter.
Because it's terrifying.
Yes, it is terrifying. Clutter serves as a highly effective anesthetic.
Wow, an anesthetic.
If your daily life is filled with interpersonal drama, endless impossible to-do lists, and the constant digital noise of social media, you never actually have to stop and ask yourself the hard question.
You never have to look in the mirror and ask, am I actually fulfilled by this career?
Or is this the person I'm meant to become?
Because you're too busy managing the chaos. You have a built-in excuse for why you haven't written that book or started that business.
Yeah.
You're simply too busy.
The noise actively protects you from the silence. Dopamine pathways in the brain actually prefer the predictable, low-level chaos of a stressful daily routine over the unpredictable void of an empty schedule.
That is wild. Our brains prefer the stress over the silence.
They do. So when you proactively remove those distractions, you are suddenly left with yourself. And for a moment, that empty room doesn't feel peaceful. It feels echoing and stark.
You're forced into an encounter with reality.
Exactly. But this vulnerability is a necessary, unavoidable phase of the transition. You have to be willing to sit in that uncomfortable quiet to figure out what actually matters, rather than continually numbing yourself with the friction of unnecessary tasks.
Which perfectly explains why trying to overhaul everything at once usually fails. It's just too much quiet all at once.
It's overwhelming.
Right. And acknowledging that facing an entirely empty room is daunting brings us to part 4. The action plan.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
The text doesn't just leave you with a philosophical mandate to clear your life. It gives you a highly specific, granular blueprint. And the primary instruction is just 2 words. Start small.
Start small.
It provides a specific checklist for you.
Yeah.
Remove 1 bad habit, say no to 1 toxic person, delete 1 distraction. That's it.
The psychological brilliance of this micro-action approach really cannot be overstated.
Why is it so effective?
Because when we decide we need to change our lives, our instinct is to orchestrate a massive, sweeping revolution.
Oh yeah, the whole new year, new me mentality. We want to throw out our entire wardrobe, break up with our partner, quit our job, and move to a new city.
Exactly. But when we contemplate a change of that magnitude, our brain calculates the immense caloric, emotional, and social energy required to execute it.
And it panics.
It panics. This massive perceived threat triggers an allostatic overload. The brain interprets the massive life change as a literal survival threat, floods the system with stress hormones, and triggers a freeze response.
So we get paralyzed by the sheer scale of the operation. We end up just sitting on the couch, scrolling through our phones instead.
Right. But if the mandate is simply to delete 1 social media app off your phone today, the threat detection threshold is never breached.
The brain doesn't freak out.
No. The prefrontal cortex, the logical planning part of the brain, remains engaged and in control. It bypasses the paralysis entirely.
This raises an important point about the text's core thesis, which is you don't need a new life, you need a cleaner one. It makes me think of pruning a tree.
Oh, I like that.
You know, if you have a tree in your yard and it's not looking so great, you don't just chop the whole tree down to get a new life for your garden.
Right. You don't uproot the whole thing.
No, you just get your shears and you snip the dead branches.
Mm-hmm.
You remove the parts that are sapping energy so the water and the nutrients can finally flow to the healthy parts that are actually trying to grow.
This raises an important question, though, regarding how we define our own progress. Which branches do we cut first?
Oh, good question.
The text suggests targeting the areas of highest friction and lowest reward. So, when you look at your social circle, who is the one person whose name appearing on your phone screen causes an immediate involuntary sigh of exhaustion?
Oh, we all have one.
That is the one toxic person you say no to.
And when you look at your daily routine, what is the one habit that consistently derails your morning before it even begins?
Exactly. That is the one habit you remove. By making the conscious choice to say no to that one toxic person or delete that one app, you are redirecting a massive amount of emotional energy back into your own root system.
You didn't add any new resources.
No, you didn't read any new self-help books. You simply stopped the leak.
You snipped the dead branch.
Exactly.
So, to wrap up our journey today, the core mandate of this text is undeniably clear. Your next level of growth, the promotion you are chasing, the peace of mind you crave, the health you're looking for, it is not going to come from adding more weight to your already sagging structural beam.
Absolutely will not.
It is strictly about removing what is holding you back. It's about having the courage to look at your daily routine, your relationships, and your mental loops, and admit that your life is not impossibly heavy. It's just cluttered. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
It has been a fantastic exploration. And as we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over on your own, building on the psychology of that action plan we just discussed.
Okay, let's hear it.
The text gives us a masterful blueprint for how to forcefully remove things from our lives, right? Delete one distraction, remove one bad habit, cut out one toxic person. But consider this, what happens to the space you just created?
Oh, wow.
Because once that bad habit is gone, or that chaotic person is finally out of your text messages, there is going to be a sudden, quiet void in your daily routine, a gap where all that noise used to be.
That uncomfortable empty room we talked about.
Exactly. So the real question you have to answer next is, will you be comfortable sitting in that emptiness, facing yourself, and allowing it to become a solid foundation for real growth? Or will your very first instinct be to panic at the silence and immediately scramble to fill the void with a brand new piece of clutter?